Now, the YWC used to be a really fun community back in the day. When it was smaller, everyone knew who everyone was, everyone had a personality, and everyone knew how to have fun. Nowadays, the community is cluttered with trolls, view whores, and smarks.
Indeed. As a fellow best in the world would say, there is too many hypocrites and parasites for you to completely say that you're in love with the YWC. And one thing that we dislike is that people take shots at us for taking shots at the internet. It's because we know that we're not hypocritical, and anyone who doubts our anti-hypocrisy claims can go back and look at the film. I don't know. It's just one thing about the YWC that can be the most frustrating thing is that everyone is just hypocritical parasites most of the time.
Before we get into the top 10 best channels, we're going to kick things off with the top 5 worst channels.
Coming in at my number 5, you guys are going to hate me for not ranking him higher because a lot of people really dislike this guy. Mitch of TheWrestlingGurus. What in the name of Christ was he thinking when he got in front of a camera? And what in the name of Christ was he thinking when he got in front of the camera the second time? There's just something about this guy that I seriously just cannot take serious. I mean, every time I watch his videos, I just start cracking up for no stupid reason. I mean, even when he's trying to make a serious point, I start cracking up. When he's trying to be funny, I start cracking up. When he's trying to be angry, I start cracking up. And I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. Another thing that's annoying about him is just like the arrogant presence that he brings. Just so frustrating to watch this guy. I mean, he's hilarious. I'll give him that. That's one of the reasons that he's ranked 5 instead of probably like 3 or 2 or 1. But just, oh my God.
I don't know about that. I always thought that Mitch was one of the few guys that actually cared about the community and wasn't all about the view whoring like everybody else is today. But my number 5, Meltzer Marks. This is what I'm going to call everyone that take their opinions from the dirt sheets. And there's a lot of these guys now. Some of them even run their own dirt sheets, like Bleacher Report, and they're all the same. They all love the same wrestlers, they all rant about the same things, and none of them have an original thought of their own. If one of them says something, then all of them are going to say that same thing. This is the reason why the wrestling community in general is so awful. It's because guys like Dave Meltzer tell them what they're supposed to think, and then they take those ideas and spread them around like an STD. And there's so many Meltzer wannabes that all act the same way, and so many marks that buy into their ideas because they want to be real wrestling fans.
Coming in at number 4, Dalyxman. And you know what? Dalyxman is a special case because he is in my top 5 most hated, and he's also in my top 5 most liked. The reason he's on my top 5 most hated is because he's so hypocritical. He's just like arrogant about some of his claims, and the frustrating thing is that, you know, 1 second he buries people that do this, and then the next second he buries people that don't do the same thing. I mean, and then he buries himself in the process. So I mean, dude, just pick a damn side already. It's just, he's kind of like the Vince Russo of the YWC, where he swerves at every fucking turn that he possibly can. Top it off, you know, I'm not gonna say that my voice isn't annoying, but for the love of God Almighty, that is unbearable sometimes to me. I am sorry.
Yeah, the reason Dalyxman is such a hypocrite is because he's so stubbornly biased. He's the kind of guy that'll bash Roman Reigns for not having mic skills or a character, but then the very next video he makes is why Cesaro should be world champion, and he doesn't understand what's wrong with that logic because he's too blinded by his own fandom. You know what he is? He's a living, breathing stereotype of internet smarks. Literally, every bad IWC stereotype that you can think of is exactly what Dalyxman is. Everything has to be exactly how he wants it to be, otherwise he's going to rant about it. And what makes it even worse is that ever since the mashups, he's developed an ego to where he really believes he's the smartest wrestling fan on the planet. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that either, because he literally said that in a video, that anyone who doesn't see it his way doesn't care about good wrestling. And want to know what the funniest part is? He knows how psychotic that sounds. That's why he goes out of his way to put on this act in his videos, where he tries to pick his words carefully and pretend like he's this messiah of wrestling fans. But then you see the way he goes off on people whenever they make comments he doesn't like on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and you'll see what a hypocrite he really is. And that's my biggest problem with him, is how fake this guy really is. I mean, this is a guy that has blocked his own friends for not sucking up to his propaganda. Before he did Wrestling Paradise, he did a podcast with two other guys. Not only did he break up the group, but he made it clear that they weren't friends anymore just because they didn't think Daniel Bryan should be a main eventer or something stupid like that. He did the same thing to SeanzViewEnt. Once Spaz started praising the WWE while Dalyxman was burying it, Dalyxman cut him out of circle completely. He even did that to his own idol Good Mic Work, because apparently it frustrated him that Good Mic Work wasn't burying John Cena enough. Hell, he did the same thing to us multiple times. In fact, he unsubscribed from our channel right after Omar made a video defending Roman Reigns for winning the Royal Rumble. That's the kind of guy Dalyxman is. He gets so stuck in his own little world that he can't accept any other reality besides his own. He basically wants to be the Kim Jong-un of the YWC, and he won't be satisfied until that happens.
Number 3 on my most disliked YWC members. Just like you, I just want to punch this guy in the face. Jeff Schlegel. Guys, ever since I first saw the Off the Ropes Show channel, I said that these guys are terrible. And I don't feel like I'm wrong to this day. I mean, the guy just went off and buried TNA not too long ago. And in the whole video, here's what he said. He was mad that there was old talent squashing young talent. Yet he was also mad that Samoa Joe didn't win the TNA championship. And then another thing is, just like when he gets into his rant, it's funny, but at the same time, it's like, is this really necessary? I mean, do you really need to go this far, this extra mile to prove your point? Can't you just keep a calm voice while making great points instead of just going full-on redneck on us?
Coming up next on my dishonorable mentions, I have nothing against this person personally, but it's Luigi PS3. I mean, this is literally what her live reaction videos are like. Oh man! Wow! Look at that! There he goes! I'm so wet right now, like really. I mean, don't get me wrong, she seems like a cool chick, and I wouldn't mind giving her something to react to, if you know what I'm saying. Well, then again, now that I try to imagine what that would be like, it'd probably go something like, oh man, that's the spot. Harder. It's so big. So yeah, maybe not.
Number 2, Mr. Mroutt. Let me just say that I can smell the breath of Schlegel's ass through my computer from you kissing it so much. What in the name of the good God in heaven was the Off the Ropes show thinking when they put this guy on there? I mean, if that show wasn't dreadful enough, then they have Mr. Mroutt put on there and just make it that much more hateable. And then on top of that, he makes his own channel as if he was this some sort of great type of guy. And literally everything he would do on his videos that he was included in, he would just be like, that's a great point, Schlegel. Yeah, that's such a good point, Schlegel. Like, you could tell in his eyes, he had that lust for Jeff Schlegel. And the funniest thing is, the most telling thing about this is whenever he would make his own point, Schlegel would disagree. Mr. Mroutt would agree with Schlegel 3 seconds later. I mean, just a frustrating guy to watch. I hate this guy.
Definitely agree with every point that you just made. But for me, the worst of the YWC and what's really been killing this community for the past 4 years, the view whores. Basically, the ones that spam YouTube with fake thumbnails and titles in all caps lock that say WWE, full entire show, HD illegal stream, and then in tiny little letters at the end, it says review. And then they get pissed off when you call them out on their view whoring and say, oh, well, it clearly says review in the title. And not only that, but then they spam 10 videos on the same show reviewing each and every segment just so they can take up the search engine. And the worst part is, all the people that do this are the worst reviewers in the YWC. So not only are they taking up valuable space on the internet, but they're making it harder for the people that aren't just making videos for attention. And they know that they suck, which is why they have to go through all that trouble just to get noticed.
Number 1 in my most disliked YWC members, Spinnernet, the fucking e-bagger, the fucking annoying old guy who fucking hits on little kids. Basically, I need more money from you guys. Like, literally, even when he e-bagged, he made the people seem like the victims in the story. He made the people feel bad if they sent him $100. And not only that, but then, like, when he made a video saying he quit wrestling, he made it seem like, oh my god, the world's ending because Spinnernet's not watching wrestling anymore. Honestly, dude, who gives a fuck? Just stop making wrestling videos. It's that easy. People are gonna know that you quit watching wrestling.
So now that we got all of that out of our systems, let's get into the top 10 best channels of the YWC today. Now, because there's been so many good ones over the last couple of years, I'm only going to narrow it down to the ones that are still active to this very day. Kicking things off on the top 10, Andre Corbeil. I think this guy presents himself pretty well in his videos. In his videos, he comes off as a knowledgeable, passionate wrestling journalist, and is currently living my dream of working side by side with the greatest wrestling mind of all time, Vince Russo. So he's obviously doing something right. My only issue with the guy is the way he comes off outside of his videos, where he makes death threats against anyone that doesn't like TNA, and he goes on WWE videos just to bash WWE and say how much better TNA is. So that's the only reason he's not higher on the list. But for what he brings as a wrestling shooter, he's definitely one of the good guys.
And finally, rounding out my top 10 at number 10, this guy actually might be my favorite, but, considering I had used my brain on this head instead of the other head, is John WWE. Guys, this man is a hero. And if you don't believe me, just look him up for yourself. I won't go into detail on what he uploads. But once you find out what he does upload, and if you didn't know about him before, you're going to thank me for it.
Coming up next, I'm going to cheat a little bit and say that it's a tie between Mr. Griffin and AmericanAlucard. Now, this is how you know when somebody is good. When they can make videos about topics that you normally don't care about, but you still want to watch the video just because it's that person talking about it. These guys make videos talking about politics, celebrities, food, etc. And I can listen to those and go, that's pretty interesting. So that's how you know when somebody is good. Plus, they're some of the most real wrestling fans in the YWC. As in, they're not like Dalyxman, where they put on this fake act in their videos just so people will like them. No, they just speak their mind, and they're not close-minded like a lot of other people, where if you disagree with them, they're going to block you. No, they're reasonable, logical, and they know how to back their points up.
Dalyxman, I did say he would be in my top 5. Like I said, I mentioned why he was in my top 5 least favorite. Now, the reason he's in my top 5 favorite is because he goes outside the box. Like, he doesn't just make regular reviews. He makes different topics, controversial topics. He makes mashup videos that even make the WWE YouTube account. So I think like his variety and the way that he's able to, talk about this topic and that topic and always sound like he knows what he's talking about, make valid points behind it. If only he stood behind those points. That's the only reason that he's not couldn't crack the top 5.
Coming up next, Grimm's Toy Show. This is one of the funniest guys that you're going to find in the YWC. He's like his own living cartoon character. Even in his normal reviews, he's just animated and off the wall, and he brings a high level of energy that the YWC is missing. Now, we know it sounds a little creepy to say that you enjoy watching a grown man play with toys, but it's a lot less humiliating than watching 3 hours of men pretending to fight in underwear. And trust me, it's a hell of a lot more entertaining too. So if you've never watched Grimm's Toy Show, I definitely recommend it. It is 1,000 times better than any episode of Raw in the last 10 years.
I'm going to have to throw in RKO 2582 simply because basically I don't know if I inspired him to start doing videos and just show a fandom of AJ. But I feel as though that is what happened. I don't want to give myself full credit here, but damn it, you keep loving AJ all you want, RKO. Don't let anybody stop you. You are a great guy. That guy is awesome. He makes entertaining reviews. You know, unlike all the other guys that we said we hated, you know, he actually tries to, you know, do hand gestures and change his voice up a little bit. Unlike just standing there speaking in monotone like all the other fucking YWC members do.
Coming in at number 7, the SmarkBusters. I don't know if I've made it clear just how much I despise smarks on the internet, but if there's two guys that know how to put smarks in their place, it is the SmarkBusters. These guys do a perfect job of pointing out the stupid mentality of the IWC. They got a great series going in busting smarks. On top of that, the reviews are hilarious. Their impersonations are damn near spot on. You'll learn a lot of valuable things about life from listening to these guys.
Coming in at my number 2, the SmarkBusters. These guys were recently introduced to me by MTO, and at first I thought they were kind of over the top, but the more I watched them, the funnier they got. And this should explain to you just how funny these guys are. I have a friend who doesn't really watch wrestling anymore. He kind of knows about it. And I show him their videos, and even he thinks they're hilarious because their one-liners, their humor, their delivery, just their overall anger toward the IWC, which is something that me and MTO try to exhibit in a more professional way. When the SmarkBusters do it, what I like is that they do it in a humorous way, but they also do it in a way that also presents logic and reasoning behind it.
So I had a hard time trying to pick my number 6. I had a lot of people in mind for this. In fact, I still can't make my mind up. Maybe we'll do another one of these lists eventually. But for now, I don't want to give another cheap cop-out answer, so I'm just going to go with the one that everyone loves, and that's CM Pulse. There is no other gamer in this community that comes close to bringing the kind of hilarious grade A commentary. You know, there's just not much that you can really say about the guy. He is just the top gamer in the YWC today.
Next is Fizzy Pops 434. Again, not really a shooter. He does make wrestling videos, though, but he makes more like drive-through, doing impersonations. His impersonations are hilarious. I remember one night me and MTO were spending the night because he bought me dinner, and I decided that it was time to let him in. But we just spent like 2 to 3 hours just watching Fizzy Pops' videos, and we just couldn't get enough of it. We couldn't stop laughing. So if I'm going to shout out my favorite guys in the YouTube wrestling community, Fizzy Pops is definitely one of them.
Coming in at number 5, SeanzViewEnt Entertainment. Not so much for his wrestling knowledge, because his serious wrestling videos are kind of meh. He just recaps stuff and says whether it's good or bad. But what you really want from this guy is you want his rants. You want his wacky tirades about getting hacked by ninjas that want to rape his wife unless fans donate $1 million ransom. You know, stupid, silly, fun stuff like that is what makes the YWC so fun. The reason a lot of people hate this guy is because they take his videos way too seriously. Sean's View is a character and his videos are a storyline. Once you understand that, you'll learn to appreciate what he does a lot more.
But now into my top 5. Ladies and gentlemen, My number 5 is Latrell23P. Before I went on stuff like Bleacher Report or any kind of news websites, I would use Latrell23P as a news source because he would literally post a video over any headline that would appear. He would post spoilers. He would post anything, rumors, backstage stuff, releases, etc., stuff like that. And you would have that on top of regular reviews. So that's what I loved about Latrell23P. He was like your own personal dirt sheet because he would add his own opinion to it as well. And you didn't have to subscribe. You didn't have to go on the wrestling website. You didn't even have to read. All you had to do was listen to what this guy had to say. And this guy was entertaining as hell too, you know. Unfortunate that he did get dieted. We did make a tribute video for him, if you remember correctly. And, you know, I wish he would come back. But we all know that he's busy. Becoming the next WWE superstar, becoming the next Shad Gaspard, as I said a few years ago.
Coming up next, Aubrey Sitterson. If you're sick of these prototypical shows that just cater to the smarks, Aubrey Sitterson is the perfect alternative. This guy has a great mind for the wrestling business and is actually articulate about his points and even has credibility with people in the business because he's always getting different wrestlers and personalities to join him on his hangouts, and they have real discussions about the show. It's not just a bunch of cynical marks complaining about what's wrong with wrestling and how Cesaro can save it. They give detailed insight on things going on in wrestling from people that actually know what they're talking about. This is what wrestling talk shows should be, yet it's one of the only talk shows that does that. So I definitely think that Aubrey Sitterson is a refreshing channel to have during a time where everybody else is just doing the same thing.
Going into my number 4, it would have to be Christopher, the TheChrisPhoenix. Ladies, this guy is pretty damn entertaining. You know, following him on Twitter, he's pretty funny on Twitter as well. So I think that Christopher would definitely have to be in my top 5. And even though he probably might not think it's funny when he rants, I think it's funny when he rants, and I guess that's what's important. And he just edges out Latrell23P because he's still going strong to this day.
Coming in at number 3, LittleKuriboh. What more can you expect from the guy that brought you something as ingenious as the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged series? Just hilarious, off-the-wall commentary, poking fun of the WWE with hilarious running jokes, just hilarious everything.
Coming in at number 3, SeanzViewEnt. This guy has done it all. He's faked his death on YouTube. He's faked hearing voices in his head on YouTube. He's faked having a neck injury on YouTube. He did a video while he was taking a shit. He did a video where he showed his dick, for Christ's sake. How is this guy not on everyone's top 5? This guy is a fucking icon in the YWC. You know, he makes brilliant videos. He knows how to have fun. And yet, at the same time, he still brings you wrestling news. So, in the sense, kind of like Latrell23P, he's like my own personal newsletter that brings me rumors, spoilers, and stuff like that. And yet, he can still have fun with it. So, I think that SeanzViewEnt should be on everyone's top 5. At least if he's not in your favorites, he should be in your least favorites because the guy has literally done it all.
Coming in at number 2, WrestlingJesus. What more needs to be said? This guy is a living legend in the YWC. If the YWC had a Hall of Fame, he would easily be the second induction right behind us. I don't even think I need to explain why. I mean, if you don't know who WrestlingJesus is, first off, I don't know what the hell you're doing with your life if you don't know who WrestlingJesus is. So you need to go out and find him right now, even though that'll probably be a little bit hard since by the time this is uploaded, he'll have probably close his channel down, open a new one, close that one down, open an atheist channel, close that one down, open a Christian channel, then close that one down and open 2 channels, then close both of those down and open another wrestling channel. So, I don't know, it might be a little bit difficult for you to find WrestlingJesus, but trust me, it is worth it.
Yes, indeed, and to everything you just said, I have to agree 100% because my number 2 is also WrestlingJesus, huh? Motherfuckers, huh? Everything you could want out of a YWC shooter. He has that edgy Attitude Era feel, but he also caters to the PG fans because he supports the show to this day. His longevity. He's been doing videos longer than we have, I think. And just everything about him, like his mannerisms, the way he speaks, his delivery, his lines, you know, his comedic relief, his rivalries, everything there is just perfect for Wrestling Jesus. Like, you really couldn't ask, because this guy is just so fucking funny that he could make a video about John Cena's left ass cheek and overanalyzing it, and that'll be the funniest fucking video you've ever seen because it's Wrestling Jesus doing it. Like, he literally, there's nothing that Wrestling Jesus can do that will be boring. In my opinion, that's what makes it go. You can take any topic you want and make it your own, and that's what Wrestling Jesus can do. And there's only one reason why he isn't number one, and it's because I discovered him after we started doing videos, so he didn't really inspire me like my number one did.
Coming in as the number one greatest YouTuber of all time, Fort Minor Project. This guy is just a ball of charisma. This guy is just, you know, there are days where I'm just contemplating suicide, just wishing that I could have this guy's life. But, you know, then again, I guess Fort Minor Project is a little bit too obvious of a pick. It's not really fair to everybody else. So, you know what? I think I'll pick a new number one. This is the guy that you can all thank for us making YouTube videos, because if it wasn't for this guy, we wouldn't be doing this right now. JDub8907. I first discovered his videos back in 2010 when I was trying to get back into wrestling. So to find a guy that echoed so much of what I felt about wrestling at the time, and for him to present his videos in such a professional yet hilarious way, that really inspired me to come up here and try to do the same thing. So I'd like to thank JDub8907 for inspiring me to get into the YWC.
Okay, first of all, that is a total 180 of what the hell went down. First of all, J-Dub was the only reason I didn't want to make YouTube videos. The reason we are here today, and we trademark ourselves after these guys, it is Saulman and The Shame. I do not care who you are. I don't care where you've been. I don't care where you come from. You find these guys enter-fucking-taining, or you don't know what the fuck entertainment is. And even for the boring pay-per-views, those were the best reviews, because those guys were like, fuck it, you know, this pay-per-view was boring. Let's make our review 20 times better than the pay-per-view was. Even when the pay-per-view was good, their review managed to outdo that pay-per-view and just blow it away. Now, I don't know how many of you have been around long enough to know who Saulman and The Shame were. Unfortunately, they did stop making videos toward the end of 2008, but from their run, where I think I started tuning in like 2007, and from their run onward from there was just a fantastic run, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care who you are. You find them entertaining, or you don't know what entertainment is.